Welcome everyone, this is your host Abraham L. Jaguar, a professional game master. First of all, this channel is proudly sponsored by Rome, the historical role-playing game. Experience the glory and decadence of Rome like never before. You will find it in the description and in the pinned comment. This channel is also proudly partnered with the What the Funk shop. Please check out their store for all sorts of products. They have dice, miniatures, game master screens, home decorations, and many other things. You will find the link in the description and in the pinned comment as well. And make sure that you use my code for a special discount. Tonight, well, let me maximize myself. Maximize. All right. Tonight, I want to talk about three approaches to tabletop role playing games, specifically when it comes to character creation, because I think they work really good. When it comes to creating characters in a tabletop RPG, sometimes you may end up a bit paralyzed, suffering from analysis paralysis. Even with simple systems, there are just so many possibilities. And this is without even counting the nuances of the campaign world. There are just so many character concepts that you can come up with. But at the same time, you have the mechanics of the game. So it's truly an entire universe of possibilities. So many ways to create, so many fighters, so many thieves, so many cyborgs, so many mutants, no matter the game that you are playing. So I wanted to offer three approaches to character creation that I have seen, that I have used as well, that I think are really good to get the ball rolling and finishing your character in a satisfactory way. The first approach, perhaps the most popular one, the one that most people employ. You come up with a character concept, as simple as that. I want to be a cowboy that casts spells, right? I want to be a cyborg that is knowledgeable in the databases of the ancient archives of who knows what. I want to be the fighter that distracts and tricks the opponents through cleverness and charisma. You come up with that concept, and then you employ the mechanics, the various elements of the character creation process for a particular system to build that character. So that character concept serves as the framework. It's almost like putting the pieces inside of a puzzle, and you already know the image, right? You have the reference photograph or illustration to complete that puzzle. That's perfectly fine. But there is another approach that could be quite different. And I think this approach is the favorite of those that are into min-maxing. You take a look at the character creation process, various feats, stats, abilities, attributes, perks, quirks, etc. And then you start to build your character, thinking that this spell, this ability, this stat, they are going to be working great together. You think about combining this fit or power or ability with this strength stat or dexterity stat, and added to this, you consider the perks, the drawbacks. So you take a mechanical approach, and after you finish creating the character of your dreams, mechanically speaking, not conceptually, not thematically speaking, then you start to make sense of things. Well, my character was actually a martial artist that went and trained inside of a volcano, though, so that's why he's very resistant to hit or to fire. And because he studied the ancient scrolls of who knows what, then this monk fighter sort of character, he is knowledgeable in casting the spells of the ancient culture of who knows what. So it's another valid approach, and it's also very fun. I think this is great, especially for crunchy systems with many options for powers, abilities, and whatnot. And as long as you can weave the thematical web around those concepts, those mechanics, then you end up with a very interesting character concept. And the third approach, a little bit from the first approach and a little bit from the second approach. That is, perhaps you have your character concept. You start building that concept, that um, character idea, but then you pause and you take a look at the many, many different plus, perks, whatever, abilities, feats, powers, skills, and you think, I'm going to have fun and start building the character, putting the theme, the character story aside, and I start to focus on those mechanical nuances. And after you finish building the synergies of perks and quirks and spells and whatnot of your dreams, then you end up thinking, maybe I should focus a bit more on character story, character background. And then you lose yourself on coming up with all sorts of crazy events and happenings in your character's life. And after you end up building that aspect of your character, then you go back to the mechanical side. So it's all about what emphasis you are putting in on the theme, the background, history or story, and then on the functionality of the character, optimizing those mechanical aspects. So no matter the approach, it is valid. And I've seen throughout the years people using one or even what you say with the first approach that I mentioned, the second approach that I mentioned, or a combination. In my case, I think I have a tendency towards the first approach of by having my character concept, and then I started to build everything based on that concept. But there have been some occasions where I'm just looking at the mechanics of the game, the feats, the powers, and just start like creating the most effective, efficient character. And then, wow, now let's see what story I come up with because of the various powers and abilities. Where did that character learn that? How can you justify that, right? So as long as you are enjoying yourself in the character creation process, I think either approach is valid. That is putting everything on the character theme or concept, putting everything on the mechanical side, or a combination of both. No matter the system, it always works. So those are three approaches, or you could say two approaches and a mixture, a combination of those two approaches to employ in your character creation process. So thank you for watching this video. I hope it was informative and entertaining and clear enough. Maybe the information was a bit too convoluted, but I hope it was clear enough. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And thank you so much to those of you that are going the extra mile to support the channel. If anyone else wishes to further support the channel, consider joining as a member using the Super Thanks button. Take a look at the information in the description and in the pinned comment. This has been your host, Abraham L. Jaguar, a professional game master. And remember, in tabletop role-playing games, you're not telling stories about your characters. Of course, you can come up with a story when you are creating the character, but when you are running the session, you are experiencing the game world as your characters. Once again, thank you. And again, you're not telling a story, right? Unless you are telling the story to the other members of the group, the story about your character. Like, hey, I came up with this very interesting concept. It turns out that my character went to this place and then he met this other character. So, Andrew, thank you so much again and see you later.